Hello everyone, welcome back to the Excel 2016 course. In this video, we will look at the navigation in a worksheet. Here is the sales workbook we will use in this video. Before we dive into the topic, let us understand the Excel worksheet landscape, meaning how big is a worksheet. There are approximately 1 million rows in a worksheet. To be exact, it is 1,048,576. And let's get to the very last row to look at the number. Okay, that's the last row in the worksheet. That means approximately 1 million rows in a worksheet. So that doesn't mean that you're limited, by this number within a workbook. A workbook could have more than one worksheet. You can have as many as you like. That means if you have 5 worksheets, you have approximately 5 million rows to play with or to have the data. Okay. Next, let us look at the columns. When it comes to columns, as we have seen already, the Excel uses alphabets and it starts with A. After Z, we have the column AA. And after AA, we have AB, AC, and so on. And after ZZ, we have AAA, followed by AAB, AAC, so on. I guess you get the point. And the very last column is XFD. That's the last column, XFD. Now let us look at a cell. A cell is the intersection between a row and a column. Every cell has a name. The name is of the form column name followed by the row name, or the row number. So in this case here, we have D5 selected. You can see here the name D5, and pretty much D represents the column and 5 represents the row. So the cell here, D5, is the intersection of the column D and the row 5. And the address for the cell is D5. Now that you understand the Excel worksheet landscape, let us see how we can navigate within the worksheet. Let us start with the keyboard. You can of course navigate with keyboard and also using your mouse. Let us first take a look at the keyboard options. You have arrows, so you can use arrows up and down, left and right. Say, let me select a cell here. Let's say, D10. The up arrow takes you one cell up, and also, it doesn't move the screen depending on where you are, but it actually moves your active cell one row up. And if you use the down arrow, it takes you one row down at a time. You can actually hold it and it continuously moves down, depending on which arrow you use. The left arrow will take you one column to the left. The right arrow will take you one column to the right. Now you can also use tab and shift tab. The tab will take you one column to the right, and the shift tab will take you one column to the left. As you can see, the screen, the data itself is not moving. It's just the active cell is moving, meaning when you use the tab, it is making F 24 active in this case. If I hit tab one more time, now it is a G24. Hit one more time, it's H24. I use a shift tab, it moves to the left and makes the G24 the active cell. So that's about tab and the shift tab. Now, let's take a look at page up and page down keys. So let me use the page down first. The page down, let me go back all the way up. So within the screen here, the last row that you see is 39 and you see the 40 partially. I use page down once. Now the row 40 is at the very top. That's the first row on the screen. And now the last is 79 and 80 is partially visible. Now I'm going to hit the page down one more time and I'm going to expect 80 to be my first row on the screen. That's it. See, it's the first row. So that means you can use page up and page down to scroll, the data by a screen up and down. So now let me use page up. Now I'm going up the data and now page, row 40 is the first row. Now it's number 1. 40, 80, 120, 160. Now I'm going up 120, 80, 40, 1. Now the numbers that I use 140, 80, it all depends on the size of the screen and the size at which you have your Excel. So the numbers might be a little bit different on your computer. Now again, it all depends on the visible portion of the screen. So for example, by that what I mean is, let's say now all I can say is, let me adjust it a bit. Okay, the visible portion for my Excel is 25 rows. So if I use page down, then now the very first row is row 25. And the last is 51. So if I do one more page down, now it's 52. So it all depends on your screen size and the size of the Excel application, the way you arranged on your computer. So that's about page up and page down. Now let's take a look at another option, which is moving the screen towards left or right depending on your need. So for that, using your keyboard, you can use Alt, page down will move you to the right, and Alt page up will move you to the left by one screen. So right now the column N is on the rightmost side of the screen, and I use Alt, page down, it's moving to the right. Another page down, Alt page down, moving further right. Alt page up, moving to the left. Alt page up, moving to the left. So Alt and page down, page up will move your screen horizontally rather than vertically. And to move it vertically, you use page up and page down. Okay, there is one neat little trick where you can get to your active cell. Say for example, I don't have any active cell right on the screen, and to get to the active cell, you use Control backspace. Looks like there's no active cell. Let me select one. Let's say here it is G75, and let's say we moved and scroll to a different screen or different area of the Excel sheet or worksheet. Now if I do Control backspace, the Excel will move and make the active cell visible to you on the screen. Next, few more things with the keyboard. It is using your up and down arrows with the scroll lock on. It gets handy sometimes, but people get a little bit confused, and sometimes not knowing this keyboard shortcut will definitely confuse you. Say, for example, your scroll lock is turned on your keyboard. With that turned on, your arrows behave a little bit differently. Your active cell will not change, meaning, let's say, for example, now it is G75. Hitting my right arrow. As you can see, the cell, the active cell is not moving, but the screen itself is moving. My G75 is still the active cell, and I use left arrow, it's moving it by by a column. So I do right, I see row O, P, so it is moving to the right by one column. And when I move to, when I use the left arrow, it goes one row to the left, but still, again, it's not changing the active cell. Now, the up and down arrows, the screen will move one row, either up or down, depending on the, up or down arrow that you use. Now, when I do up arrow, the active cell is still G75. I am hitting up arrow, the screen is moving one row up. When I do down, it moves one row down. So that's it about the keyboard navigation. Now let us look at the navigation using your mouse. It's pretty much straightforward with the mouse. You can, as you move your mouse, you see the mouse cursor on your screen. And there are a couple of things that you can grab onto and navigate through the spreadsheet. There is a vertical bar on the right hand side. Since we have quite a bit of data, the bar itself is small, but if you don't have much data, this bar is a little bit bigger in size. Let me show that. Let me go on to another tab here. See, here it's a little bit bigger. Of course, you can use your mouse to navigate to a different worksheet, but within a worksheet, you can use the vertical scroll bar. You can grab onto it using your left mouse button, and then, you can scroll it down or scroll it up. And you also have a horizontal scroll bar that you can use to move your sheet to the left or right, depending on your need. Now there's one other thing. If your mouse has a wheel, then you can actually use your wheel to move your data up or down. Every time you scroll up, you scroll down. So depends on, again, it might be a little bit different on Mac. But this is on Windows machine. When working with Excel, you work with tables most of the times. So let us see how you can navigate within a table. So in this small table, let me select the row 2, which is A2, the cell A2. And if I do Control right arrow, it goes to the very last column within the table. So this is a table. So when it doesn't matter where I am within the column, when I do Control right arrow, it takes me to the last column, but it is within the same row. And I can use Control left arrow, which takes me to the leftmost column of the data table. So for example, let me show you one more time. I'll go to row 10, Control right arrow takes me to E10, which is the last column. E is the last column within the table. Control left arrow takes me to the leftmost column in the table. Control down takes you to the last row within your data table, and Control up arrow will take you to the first row within your data table. Now there's one more thing. If I do Control down and if I do the down arrow twice, if I hit it twice, it will take me to the very last row of the Excel spreadsheet. As you can see, the number 1,048,576. That's the number that we discussed in the beginning of this video. So to go back to the first row, control up arrow twice. So when you do control up arrow once, it goes to the last row of the data table. Now it goes to the very first. Same thing applies to the right arrow. If I do control right arrow, it goes to the last column of the data table, and I hit it one more time with the control still pressed, it takes you to the very last column. Okay, it's control left, control up, control down, control right. Well, that's it about the navigation, and I will see you in the next video.